Diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation have been ongoing since January. Here's a review of the different parties involved in the crisis and the efforts they have made.
On January 12th, Russia began to lay out its demands for security guarantees in Europe to NATO's 30 allies. It came after intense talks with the U.S. in Geneva showed the two sides have major differences to bridge. At the end of January, the U.S. and NATO formally rejected Russia's demands. Putin accused the West of ignoring Moscow's security concerns and deliberately creating a scenario designed to lure it into war.
I want to mention that we are closely studying the written answers from the U.S. and NATO, which we received on January 26. But we can already see that fundamental Russian concerns were ignored.
Moscow has two major concerns regarding NATO. It wants guarantees that NATO will not expand further east in Europe and that NATO will not grant Ukraine membership to the alliance.
I don't think you will expect me saying otherwise than to confirm that this is one of the areas where we have the greatest difference of views with the U.S. The U.S. suggests that there is no way that Russia or whoever else may have a say on those type of issues. But we underscore that for us it's absolutely mandatory to make sure that Ukraine never ever becomes member of NATO.
The U.S. has repeatedly expressed support for Ukraine. President Joe Biden, in a call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on January 27th, reaffirmed Washington's readiness to respond decisively if Russia invades Ukraine. In early February, Biden warned things could go crazy very quickly and urged Americans to leave Ukraine as soon as possible. Meanwhile, European leaders have been searching for diplomatic solutions. French President Emmanuel Macron visited Moscow and Kiev in early February. Before those meetings, he held a series of phone calls with Western allies, including British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, U.S. President Joe Biden, and NATO head Jens Stoltenberg. Putin called his 5-hour meeting with Macron useful and constructive, and Macron agreed.
We had a conversation that saw a number of propositions emerge on which I think, between Russia and France, I can say we converge towards.
To urge Russia to take.
Meanwhile, on February 10th, British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss visited Moscow and met Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who described their talks as disappointing.
There is no doubt that the stationing of over 100,000 troops on the Ukrainian border is directly put in place to threaten Ukraine.
Relations can be normalized only through mutually respectful dialogue, an equal dialogue, and dialogue based on recognition of each other's legitimate interests, and a search for mutually acceptable solutions.
A day later, the Normandy format met in Berlin. The diplomatic grouping of Germany, France, Russia, and Ukraine was created in 2014 to find a peaceful resolution in the area of Ukraine known as Donbas. Russia says no progress was made after nearly 9 hours of talks, while Ukraine sounded a more positive note. Despite diplomatic efforts, no side seems to be backing down as military actions continue, with different parties conducting drills near Ukraine's border. 高一鸣 CGTN